A long time ago, deep in the lush forests of the Democratic Republic of Congo, there was a village called Dongo. Surrounded by towering trees, endless grasslands, and the sacred river Nkulu, Dongo was a place of peace and prosperity. The villagers relied on the river for everything. It gave them water for their crops, fish to eat, and a sense of spiritual connection to the gods. Among the people of Dongo was a man named Iino. Iino was no ordinary man. He was the strongest and most admired man in the entire region. His muscles were so large and powerful that people said he could lift boulders that even elephants could not move. His heart was as kind as his strength was great. Everyone respected him for his bravery and generosity, and he was known far and wide across many villages. Yet despite his greatness, Iino carried a heavy secret. Iino had been born with a manhood so large that it frightened every woman who ever tried to be with him. Although he was admired for his physical abilities and kindness, he was unable to find love. Every woman who came close to him would flee in terror when they saw his endowment. This left Iino with a heavy heart filled with loneliness. As much as he tried, love seemed impossible for him, and he believed he was destined to be alone forever. In the same village lived a young woman named Maza, the most beautiful woman in all of Dongo. Her skin was as smooth as the river stones, and her eyes sparkled like the stars in the night sky. Her beauty was known across many villages, and countless men came from near and far, hoping to win her heart. Maza was kind, intelligent, and graceful, but she was also very particular about who she chose to love. She had never found a man who was worthy of her heart. Many tried to impress her with gifts of rare beads, exotic fruits, and colorful fabrics, but none of them captured her interest. Maza dreamed of a man who would be both strong and gentle, someone who would treat her with respect and care. Iino had heard about Maza's beauty, and when he saw her for the first time, he was captivated. She seemed like a goddess walking among humans, her beauty like the light of the full moon shining on the river. From that moment on, Iino made it his mission to win her love. Every morning, Iino would go to the large baobab tree near Maza's family compound. He would sing songs of love and bravery, his deep, melodic voice echoing across the village. The villagers would stop what they were doing just to listen. His songs were full of admiration for Maza, telling stories of how he would protect and honor her if she became his wife. Children giggled, and the elders nodded in approval as they watched this love story unfold before their eyes. But Iino didn't stop with songs. He brought Maza gifts, delicate flowers he gathered from the forest, rare fruits, and even beautifully woven baskets. He participated in every village festival, always excelling in the contest to show Maza his strength. At the annual banana festival, where men competed in games of strength, Iino lifted the heaviest bunch of bananas that no man could ever carry. The crowd roared with cheers and applause as Iino stood victorious. Maza watched all of this from afar. At first, she was hesitant to respond to Iino's grand displays of affection. She had seen many men try to win her heart, only to lose interest or fail to impress her. But something about Iino was different. His persistence, his kindness, and the way he treated everyone with respect began to warm her heart. After months of Iino's efforts, Maza could no longer deny the feelings growing in her heart. One night, as the full moon cast a soft glow over the village, Maza finally approached Iino. They stood together beneath the grand baobab tree, where Iino had sung to her so many times before. Her voice was soft but filled with determination as she said, "Iino, your songs have touched my heart, and your deeds have shown me the man you are. I am ready to be yours." Iino's heart leaped with joy. For the first time in his life, he felt hope that love might be possible for him. The village erupted in celebration when they heard the news that Iino and Maza would be together. The elders blessed their union, and the villagers danced and feasted under the stars. On the night of their marriage, the entire village gathered to celebrate. Drums beat loudly, and the villagers danced with joy. The air was filled with laughter and music, and everyone believed that Iino and Maza were the perfect match. As the night wore on, Iino and Maza retired to their home for the first time as husband and wife. But when they were finally alone, something unexpected happened. Maza, who had fallen for Iino's kindness and strength, was not prepared for the sight of his unusual manhood. It was much larger than she had ever imagined, and fear gripped her heart. She froze in terror, unable to move. Then, without warning, she fled from the house, screaming in fear. The villagers, still celebrating outside, were shocked when they saw Maza run away. The joyful night quickly turned into confusion and whispers. By morning, the entire village knew what had happened. Maza had run away, and Iino was left heartbroken and humiliated. Despite the gossip spreading throughout the village, Iino couldn't stop thinking about Maza. He continued to sing his love songs beneath the baobab tree, hoping she would return to him. But as the days passed, Maza stayed in hiding, too ashamed to face Iino or the villagers. Iino's heart was heavy with loneliness. He had believed that Maza was the one who could love him for who he was, but now he was unsure if he would ever find someone who could accept him. The village elders, noticing Iino's sadness, suggested that he seek help from the village healer or perform rituals to appease the gods. But nothing seemed to help. Iino's heart remained burdened with sorrow. Just when the village thought things couldn't get worse, disaster struck. The sacred river in Kulu, which had always flowed with life-giving water, suddenly dried up. Without the river, the crops withered, and the animals grew weak from thirst. Panic spread throughout the village as the people feared for their survival. The elders gathered in secret, desperate for a solution. They consulted the village priest, who revealed an ancient prophecy. A man of great strength and unique gift will restore life to the river and save the village, the priest declared. All eyes turned to Iino. He was the strongest man in the village, and his unusual gift seemed to match the prophecy. Despite his heartbreak, Iino agreed to help. He knew that the fate of the village depended on him. One quiet night, Iino walked along the dried-up riverbank, deep in thought. He wondered how he could possibly save the village when he couldn't even save his own heart. As he stood staring at the cracked earth where the river once flowed, something magical happened. The ground began to tremble, and the air filled with the sound of rushing water. Out of the riverbed rose a beautiful woman, her skin glowing like the moon, her hair flowing like the river itself. She was a river spirit, sent by the gods to test him. The spirit smiled at Iino and said, "You have been chosen, Iino. The gods have seen your strength, but more importantly, they have seen your heart. Your gift, the one that has caused you so much pain, will now save your village." Iino was speechless. He had spent his whole life thinking that his unusual gift was a curse, but now it seemed to be the very thing that would save his people. The river spirit beckoned him to come closer, and as he did, the river began to flow again. The water bubbled up from the ground, clear and fresh, bringing life back to the land. Word of Iino's miraculous deed spread quickly. The villagers rejoiced as the river flowed once more, and the crops sprang back to life. Iino was hailed as a hero, not just for his strength, but for the way he had saved the entire village. The king of Dongo, hearing of Iino's great act, made him his most trusted advisor. He gifted Iino a grand home and vast lands as a reward for his bravery. Though Iino's heart had once been full of sorrow, he found new purpose in his life. And as for the river spirit, she continued to visit Iino by the river, and over time, they grew closer. She accepted him for who he truly was, and together, they brought peace and prosperity to the village of Dongo for many years to come. The legend of Iino and the River Princess became a story told for generations. It reminded the people of Dongo that true love and acceptance come not from changing who we are, but from embracing the gifts we are given, no matter how unusual they may seem. Though the village of Dongo had returned to its former prosperity, Iino's heart was still restless. The River Princess, with her mysterious beauty and deep connection to the sacred river in Kulu, visited him often, but their meetings were fleeting. Iino's love for her grew stronger each time, but he wondered if their bond could ever be more than a spiritual connection. One evening, as the sun dipped behind the horizon and painted the sky in hues of gold and purple, Iino sat by the riverbank, his thoughts consumed by the river princess. Just as he began to drift into his thoughts, the water stirred, and she appeared before him once more. Her eyes glistened with the soft glow of the moon, and her long, flowing hair shimmered like the river itself. "Iino," she whispered, her voice like the gentle flow of a stream. "You have restored life to the river, and for that the gods are pleased. But now a greater challenge lies ahead." Iino furrowed his brow. What challenge could be greater than saving my village? The river princess stepped closer, her gaze intense yet tender. "The river is not only a source of water and life, but also the keeper of ancient magic. Dark forces from beyond the mountains seek to corrupt it, to poison its waters and drain the life from the land once more. You must protect it." Iino rose to his feet, his heart pounding with a mixture of fear and determination. "I will do whatever it takes to defend the river, for it is not just the lifeblood of our village, but of my people's future." The next morning, Iino gathered a group of the village's finest warriors. They were strong and skilled, but none possessed the strength and courage of Iino. The villagers watched in silence as the group prepared to embark on the perilous journey beyond the mountains, where few had ever returned from. As they made their way through the dense forests and steep cliffs, Iino could feel the weight of responsibility pressing down on him. He knew that the survival of the river and his people rested on his shoulders. Days turned into weeks as the group ventured deeper into the unknown lands. They encountered wild beasts, treacherous landscapes, and strange, shadowy figures lurking in the night. But Iino's determination never wavered. He led his warriors with courage, always thinking of the river princess and the village he had sworn to protect. At last, after many trials, they reached the heart of the mountains. There, hidden within a cave, was the source of the dark forces threatening the river, a powerful sorcerer named Morango. His eyes burned with malice, and his twisted form hovered over a cauldron of black, bubbling liquid. This was the poison meant to taint the river Nkulu, to drain its magic and bring destruction to the land. Iino stepped forward, his voice ringing out with authority. "Morango, I know of your plans to corrupt the sacred river. I will not allow you to harm my people or our land." The sorcerer cackled, his voice echoing through the cavern. "You are but a mere mortal. Iino, your strength is nothing compared to the dark magic I wield." But Iino was not afraid. He had the strength of the gods flowing through his veins, and the love of the river princess gave him courage beyond measure. With a mighty roar, he charged at Morango, his warriors following close behind. The battle that ensued was fierce. Morango summoned dark creatures from the shadows, and his magic crackled through the air like lightning. But Iino fought with the strength of 10 men, his blows shaking the very earth beneath them. Just when it seemed that Morango's dark magic would overwhelm them, the river princess appeared. Her form shimmered in the darkness, and with a single wave of her hand, the cave was flooded with light. The river's magic flowed through her, and Morango's power began to wane. Together, Iino and the river princess unleashed a final, devastating strike. The dark sorcerer let out a piercing scream as his power was shattered, and the black cauldron crumbled to dust. The river, once tainted by his dark magic, began to flow pure and strong once more. With Morango defeated and the river restored, Iino and his warriors returned to Dongo as heroes. The village erupted in celebration, but Iino's heart was drawn once more to the riverbank, where the river princess awaited him. "You have saved the river, Iino," she said softly, "but you have also saved me. The dark magic that threatened the river was tied to my very being. Had Morango succeeded, I would have been lost forever." Iino took her hands in his heart swelling with emotion. "Then it was not just the river I fought for, but for you, river princess." She smiled, her eyes filled with love. "The gods have blessed us both, Iino. For your courage and your pure heart, they have granted me the gift of mortality." I am no longer bound to the river alone. I can live as one of your people, if you will have me." Tears filled Iino's eyes as he embraced her. "I have always wanted you by my side, River Princess. You are my heart, my love, and my soul. Together, we will protect the river and our people for as long as we live." And so, the River Princess became part of the village of Dongo, living among the people she had once watched over from the waters. Iino and the River Princess were united not only by their love for each other, but by their shared destiny to protect the sacred river and ensure that the land of Dongo thrived for generations to come. Their love story became the stuff of legend, a tale told by the fireside to children for centuries. And as long as the river Nkulu flowed, the love of Iino and the River Princess lived on, forever entwined with the life of the land. Life in Dongo changed dramatically after Iino and the River Princess, now known to the people as Zawadi, returned from their victorious battle against the dark sorcerer, Morango. Zawadi's presence among the villagers brought a newfound sense of peace and prosperity. Her knowledge of the sacred river's magic helped the people understand its deep connection to their daily lives. The crops flourished, the river remained pure, and the village became a thriving beacon of hope in the region. Iino, now regarded as a hero beyond the village, was called upon by neighboring communities for guidance. His strength and wisdom were known far and wide, and people traveled from distant lands to seek his counsel. But with this newfound fame came an unforeseen burden, the weight of leadership. Iino found himself torn between his love for Zawadi and his responsibilities to his people. Zawadi noticed the change in Iino. He had grown quieter, more reflective. One evening, as they sat beneath the stars by the riverbank where they had first met, she spoke softly, her voice filled with concern. "Iino," she began, "I can see the burden you carry. You have given so much to our people and the land, but I fear you are losing a piece of yourself in the process." Iino sighed deeply, his gaze fixed on the flowing water. "I feel as though I am being pulled in so many directions, Zawadi. The people need me, and I cannot turn my back on them. But in doing so, I fear I am neglecting us, our love, and the quiet life we once dreamed of." Zawadi took his hand, her touch gentle and reassuring. "The river, like life, ebbs and flows. You do not need to carry the weight of the world alone. We are partners, Iino. Let us face these challenges together." Iino looked into her eyes, the love he felt for her flooding back with renewed strength. "Together, then," he said, a sense of peace washing over him. "We will face whatever comes side by side." One peaceful afternoon, Zawadi was deep in meditation by the sacred river Nkulu, when she sensed a disturbance in the water's flow. The once gentle current began to pulse with an unusual energy, and a voice, ancient and distant, echoed in her mind. The river spirits were calling to her, their message clear and urgent. The following evening, Zawadi gathered the village elders and Iino by the great baobab tree, the sacred meeting place of their ancestors. The elders had noticed changes in the river as well, strange colors in the water, and the sudden disappearance of fish. Zawadi, in her calm but serious tone, revealed the prophecy of the river stone, a relic hidden in the deepest parts of the river that held the key to the balance between the spiritual and mortal worlds. "The river stone is the heart of the river's magic," Zawadi explained. "If it is disturbed or falls into the wrong hands, the river will dry up, and our land will be plunged into darkness once more. The river spirits have warned me that a great danger approaches. Someone seeks to claim the river stone's power." The elders gasped, and Iino felt a cold chill run down his spine. "Who would dare threaten the river now? After all we have done to protect it?" he asked. Zawadi's eyes were filled with sadness. "A figure from the ancient times, Munika, an immortal being who once ruled these lands with cruelty, is awakening. He was banished to the underworld by the river spirits eons ago, but his return is imminent. He seeks the river stone to regain his power and control the river once more." Iino stood tall, determination burning in his chest. "Then we must stop him before he reaches the stone. We will not let him destroy all that we have fought to protect." The next morning, Iino and Zawadi prepared for their most perilous journey yet. They would have to dive deep into the heart of the river, where the currents were strong and the dangers great, to reach the sacred cave where the river stone was hidden. This would be no ordinary task, for Munika's dark magic had already begun to seep into the waters, making the journey treacherous. Before they left, Zawadi gathered the village warriors and elders. "We need you to guard the village in our absence," she instructed them. "Munika's forces will not wait for us to return. They may strike while we are gone." Iino embraced the villagers one by one, thanking them for their loyalty and trust. As he held Zawadi's hand, they waded into the river together, the water swirling around them with an ominous energy. Deeper and deeper, they descended into the river's depths, guided by Zawadi's spiritual connection to the water. The current was fierce, and strange shadows moved beneath the surface, remnants of Munika's growing influence. They swam past glowing fish and underwater caverns that seemed endless, until they finally reached the entrance to the sacred cave. Inside, the air felt thick with magic. At the center of the cave, resting on an ancient pedestal, was the river stone, glowing with a soft, ethereal light. But as they approached, the water darkened, and a voice as cold as death echoed through the cave. "You are too late," Munika's voice hissed from the shadows. "The river stone belongs to me now." From the darkness, Munika emerged, a tall, gaunt figure with skin like cracked stone and eyes that burned with malice. Dark tendrils of magic coiled around him, reaching for the river stone. Iino stepped forward, his muscles tense, his hand gripping his spear. "You will not take what does not belong to you, Munika." Munika laughed, his voice a haunting melody. "I have waited centuries for this moment. No mortal can stand in my way." But as Munika reached for the river stone, Zawadi summoned the river's ancient magic. The water around them surged with power, forming a protective barrier around the stone. She called upon the spirits of the river to aid them, and the entire cave began to glow with a radiant light. Iino and Zawadi stood united, their love and strength forming an unbreakable bond. Together, they faced Munika, who roared in frustration as his dark magic collided with their light. The battle was fierce, with the cave shaking as the two forces clashed. Iino fought bravely, his spear striking with precision, while Zawadi's magic swirled around them, protecting them from Munika's attacks. Finally, with a mighty strike, Iino plunged his spear into the heart of Munika's dark magic, and Zawadi unleashed the full power of the river spirits. Munika let out a final, deafening scream as his body disintegrated into dust, his dark presence vanquished forever. With Munika defeated, the river stone was safe once more, and the balance between the spiritual and mortal worlds restored. Iino and Zawadi emerged from the river victorious, their bond stronger than ever. The village of Dongo celebrated their return with a grand feast, and the people rejoiced in the knowledge that their sacred river was protected for generations to come. Iino and Zawadi were hailed not only as heroes, but as the eternal guardians of the river Nkulu. Years passed, and the village of Dongo thrived under Iino's leadership and Zawadi's guidance. The river continued to flow, pure and strong, a symbol of the love and strength that Iino and Zawadi shared. But their story did not end there. Iino and Zawadi's descendants would continue to protect the river, ensuring that its magic and life-giving waters would never be threatened again. And so, the legend of Iino and Zawadi, the river guardians, was passed down through the ages, a tale of love, courage, and the power of unity.